Thank you. It's great to be here. Human EBITDA, which for most people is, it is actually initials, but it's EBITDA. So in the 1970s, John Malone, who was a cable pioneer and the chairman of Liberty Mutual, developed EBITDA. And he did so in order to help him sell his leverage growth strategies to lenders and to investors, which promoted the idea that you should leverage or you should use debt and invest corporate profits in order to minimize taxes, because you can't tax debt. Little footnote for business owners. And it became kind of an industry standard, and it's usually a reflection of a corporation's ability to be profitable and, generally speaking, what its performance is. My experience working with entrepreneurs and my ability to support their efforts in building and launching companies has really caused me to really reflect on this notion of EBITDA. And the application of EBITDA in our world is slightly different because we're so committed to building founder DNA, because we believe it's critical to the success of founders. And in our world, EBITDA, I developed Human EBITDA as a human performance metric to really assess the potential, not of a corporation, but of an individual and the power of you, the power of us. We all are used to the idea of a personal power metric in our society. Traditionally, we think of it as our wealth, our job, our title, how much power and influence we have, and maybe even more recently, what kind of impact we've been able to make. Human EBITDA really looks at the quality of our emotions, beliefs, intentions, thoughts, decisions, and actions. Traditionally, EBITDA stood for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, which is not as much fun as our Human EBITDA definition. What's really critical to win and excel at the game of life is really to understand what the drivers are that really drive personal success. And masters at Human EBITDA believe that if you can dream it and if you believe it, you can achieve it. And they also believe wholeheartedly that your present reality has no bearing on your future potential. It's something that for some of us is really difficult to reconcile, given our personal life experiences. But what's really critical about being able to do this is you need to have a clear intention on what it is that you want to achieve. And in addition to that, you need to be able to imagine what that would look like once you have it, as if it's already yours. And you need to do so in a full sensory capacity. You need to see it, you need to hear it, you need to smell it, taste it, feel it. And you need that experience to be packed with positive emotion. And these movies that run through your head that you would watch over and over again every day, like binge watching Netflix, but it's about your life, are very much like what an athlete does to visualize his meet before the game. And it helps you to really imprint in your neural network exactly what it is you're setting out to do and how you're going to achieve it. And in order to really do that, you need to elevate your vibration so that you meet your desired goal where it's at. Because very much like a radio station, if your vibration is at one frequency, you're not going to hear the song that what you desire is on if it's on a different frequency. And that really requires emotion. Oftentimes, this is a difficult thing for many of us because we've been conditioned to actually be very realistic, very practical, and negativity is something that is really very much part of our culture. So we always think about the mitigating circumstances, what if that doesn't work, etc. So while those that are really great at mastering human EBITDA focus on what they want and elevate their frequency to achieve it, many of us focus on what we don't want and lower our frequency and thus ensure that we get that. And we sometimes think that by talking about what we don't want, we're actually helping to fuel the acquisition of what we do want. But as I was once told when I got my motorcycle, or was trying to get my motorcycle license, whatever you do, do not look or focus on the road an obstacle, because where your focus goes, your bike goes. And it's a great metaphor for life, because we oftentimes, we'll say we want to lose weight, or we want to get a new job, or we want to start a new business, but all we then talk about is how hard it is. So it's a real reorientation of the way that we operate. I almost think of it sometimes as we've been given this incredibly powerful tool that we have to manifest things in our lives that we really desire, but instead of using these golden keys to open the doors, we use them to just dig in the dirt, and we don't really understand how to use this tool effectively. So why does this happen? I've talked about this a lot in different parts of the world. And that's because, we are an aggregation of our life experiences, and we very much have been programmed, conditioned, and shaped to think a certain way, to believe certain things, and to act certain ways. We've been shaped by our parents, by our culture, where we grew up, our religion, our ethnicity, our friends, and generally our life experiences. And when we have experienced trauma, oftentimes embedded in that trauma is a negative belief system that got rooted in our lives, doesn't serve us anymore. We're not even aware that it's there, but it's impacting a lot of the decisions that we make without us even realizing it. And that's why oftentimes you'll see that you have a repeated pattern of behavior, and you say, gee, I wonder why I'm always dating the wrong guy, or why I always get overlooked for my job promotion, or why do I always get in accidents? Wherever you see repeated behavior, it's really a red flag that there is an underlying belief system that's nearby that needs to be excavated and healed. For those that are really great at mastering EBITDA, they're very focused on growth and expansion of self at all cost. And they're unconditional in their state of being. So what does that mean? It means that what they like to do is look at experiences in life as opportunities. And it's really all about the breadth of the experience and the depth of experience, regardless of whether it's a good experience or a bad experience, because they always glean wisdom from their experiences, and they always assign positive meaning to all experiences, even if they're tragic, even if they're traumatic, because they believe they're on a path to learn, grow, and develop. And as we have seen, again, using athletes as an analogy, you don't become an elite athlete without challenging yourself, without going through physical pain, because that elevates your mastery. But we oftentimes don't like to experience pain, right? As humans, we want to avoid pain at all costs. But if you use that pain to elevate and grow, then it's not a wasted experience, it's actually a blessing. And I will share a personal story. When my firstborn passed away at 4 days old, I made a very cognizant decision at that time to say out loud, this will not define me. And I also said her death would be a blessing. Not that the death was a blessing, but knowing her for 4 days was a blessing. And then I committed my life to nonprofit work. And I transmuted that pain into healing. And that is actually what the power of good is really good at. And I therefore think that there really is nothing that we can go through in life that we cannot find a way to assign positive meaning to it that will allow us to grow. One of the biggest challenges in all of that is letting go of fear-based beliefs that have been rooted in a lot of these negative belief systems, our negative thoughts, our negative expectations. And it's really critical. And it's really a reflection, I feel, of our lack of faith in ourselves. Because if you really have a lot of faith in your ability to handle problems, adversity, then there's really nothing you can do. As long as you're willing to let go of the shame that's oftentimes associated in our culture with failure. But as we just discussed, if you look at failure as an opportunity to learn and grow, it's definitely not a failure. It is a blessing. If you learn nothing from those experiences, it is in fact a failure. So one of the ways to counteract negative belief systems is by recognizing them, healing them, and then creating positive affirmations that counter them as a tool. So if you believe, I'm not worthy, then your positive affirmation would be, I am worthy of the very best in the world. You create the opposite effect to what you presume, and you say that on a regular basis, morning or night, or in the shower, or on the walk with your dog, until you reprogram yourself into thinking a different way. Nikola Tesla once said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, you need to think in terms of frequency and vibration. Everything is energy. We are energy, all of us in this room. And typically our energy vibrates out a good 8 or 9 feet from ourselves, which is why collectively when you're in a group, there's either a good vibe, neutral vibe, or a bad vibe, depending upon how people are feeling that day. And quantum physics has shown us that like attracts like. So when you have a really high vibration, high frequency, you attract other people with the same kind of high vibration and high frequency. And feelings are so powerful. Feelings are energy in motion, literally emotion. And it's the one thing that I think we don't really give any thought to. We think whatever goes on in our head with all the thoughts that just run 24/7 and whatever we're feeling has no impact on us, or that our beliefs have no impact on us, but they are our guiding system in our life, and they guide our subconscious. So it's incredibly powerful and important to truly address the feelings that we house on a daily basis and to really challenge those feelings and to transmute them to a higher level. If you use this EBITDA metric scale, it will allow you to discover the true power of you and help you to access your true potential. And I personally believe that the power of good starts with uncovering the power of you and meeting and growing and establishing yourself and your best self and your highest potential. Thank you.